Welcome to the CodPast podcast, where your fishy past hooks your brilliant future. With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
Either I definitely forward this.
All right, we got it.
You live?
Okay, we got it.
Hello, everybody. Yay. Woohoo. And we've got two girls together today instead of two separate states. They are sitting together. Where are you? Are you in a hotel? Are you over at Patty's?
We're in Salt Lake City.
We're in downtown Salt Lake at Golden Braid Books. And it's a beautiful store that says
bookstore?
Well, it's a bookstore, restaurant, cafe, and it says intuitive readings inside, and it's a whole what do you call it? You know, a woo-woo bookstore. So we're going to go in afterward.
And I just saw that right now they're offering 10% off of intuitive readings and astrology. So I may go get a reading while I'm here.
Well, we're like, how are you just out in the middle of the floor or what?
We're off to the side as much as we can.
That's why it's loud. We're going to mute ourselves.
We'll mute
a lot.
ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are so weird. I told you they're weird, Lisa. I told you I'm not sure if you want to do this or not, but so we don't have our entry song, do we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, look, she's ready. She is ready. She's prepared.
You are awesome.
Yeah, where's your microphone?
I don't know. I don't know where my microphone is. Can you hear it? I can't hear it. Wave. I can't hear it. It's okay. It's all right.
It'll be on our YouTube. At the beginning of the YouTube, it comes up. So
you can sing it.
Welcome to
the CodPast podcast,
where your fishy past
hooks your brilliant future with Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr.
And
Trish.
Dr. Trish.
And our special guest, Lesa Thomas, today.
Yeah.
Hello. Sure.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a lot of things. So, do you have a joke?
I do have a joke.
All right.
Never try to talk to a fish before they're caffeinated.
That's terrible. You're gonna have to work harder than that, Deborah.
Okay, so what did you think of the series finale? Well, it wasn't the Bass Ed. It's dumb too. There's dumb jokes today. Yeah. Trish, welcome our wonderful guest, Lesa Thomas.
Yeah.
What a beautiful way to spell Lesa too. That's a beautiful way. Lesa.
Lesa, yes. My mom got creative with the vowels in the 70s. We all have weird vowels peppered through our names.
Well, you are the epitome of how hippie people raised perfect kids, because I met you with another girl last week at our retreat in Oregon that knocked my socks off. That was the best retreat and people I have ever been with in that kind of setting where you're just studying all the time and playing. And you were so amazing, Lesa. And I wanna show everybody the painting that Lesa gave to me. She brought this to the retreat, and I was salivating over it the minute I saw it, because it was everything I've ever been. Like, I've always told people, just be the lighthouse for others to follow. You don't need to tell them stuff. You don't need to tackle them down. And I've said it, I've been leading mastermind groups since I was about 20, and I always really cared about that. I care about the power that the ocean has. So I love, love, love the ocean, but I only like, I like all bodies of water, but I really prefer the Pacific side or Hawaii, where you get these pounding, incredibly powerful waves. I love to watch surfing. And then the sacred geometry, I spent so many years with the CEO of Frank Lloyd Wright, and everything that he did and Frank Lloyd Wright was similar to this, but it was all about sacred geometry. And so Lesa doesn't even know that about Frank Lloyd Wright, me and Vernon. And anyway, I fell in love with this the minute I walked in. I just got tears in my eyes. It sat at the top of the fireplace the whole time. And lo and behold, the night before we're leaving, Lesa gives it to me. And she is not a cheap painter. Like, her stuff is expensive, and well, it should be. But this was so me, and I just so appreciate it. But Lesa's really extraordinary, and some of the stuff that she came up with during the week, her perspectives on things just sort of blew everybody out of the water. And so I knew I wanted to get her on the CodPast because she had more to say. You know, I wanted to hear a lot, but we had several people there and everybody had to take time to share. So I didn't get a chance to just sit with her, except for one night. She and another girl and her boyfriend called me and said, "Can we just hang out along with you?" And I went, "Yes." And that was really special. That was a really special thing for you guys to do. So anyway, welcome, Lesa.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
This is my first podcast ever. So I'm here. I'm ready to rock. So just let me know what you want to know about me.
Well, you're a prolific speaker. Have you spoken a lot?
Just in church. So I grew up part of the LDS Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and a part of that administration is from the moment you're young, you give little talks, and then you go on as you get older through adolescence, and you give talks and you receive callings that have you stand up in front of people. So that would be the only experience I would attribute. Any public speaking talents that I have would have been trained there.
Well, you know, some of the most famous stars started out as kids stars with Disney or whatever, and right out of the Mormon church, because that's probably my favorite thing about the Mormon church is the way they get the kids ready to be in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Because I had schools all over the world, and I kept looking for models that were very powerful, that were fast and efficient to get the kids up to being, you know, all they could be. And one of the models we used was the training that they had at the LDS church, because the number one fear is not death. The number one fear is public speaking. And the Mormon church gets that right at the beginning. Boom. You know, they get people over it and out with it. And the kids, I don't know if you have to have a talent or you're supposed to, but all the kids get really comfortable sharing their talents in front of people. And those are the two things that build your confidence so much. And so, so yeah, now I'm not surprised, because you're really an eloquent speaker. Of course, I mean, on the other side, you're very spiritual and you're very deep. And so that comes out. But I think you need to be on a speaking circuit for a bunch of reasons. So
all right.
maybe we'll get you behind that, because you're really powerful.
Yeah.
So Lesa, I didn't know anything about your past, because all we talked about was the present moment last week. Like, what's going on right now? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? And we can talk about that a little bit in a minute. But you have some stories that you interweave kind of in what's going on with you today. And on these, I know several people who know you. Scott and Lorraine are friends with them, by the way. And so people revere your art, and they talk a lot about the spiritual side of it. So if you want to, you can give us kind of an encapsulation of how you create art now, and then we'll tie it back to some of the other stories, because your art is super unusual. And I'd like for everybody kind of to know what makes you such a different type of an artist, and then we can tie it to the back.
Okay. So the first that I have heard about me being artistic is my parents tell me that at 2 years old, I picked up a pencil and I started to draw a street with the telephone lines, and there were birds on the telephone lines, and I used perspective. So it actually had depth. And so they knew that I was able to see things and then capture them on paper. And ever since then, I've been painting in a way that would recreate what I was seeing out here. And what happened to go along with my spiritual awakening, which happened in 2017, I started to create from what was in here. And that was when the magic started to come in, because it was no longer me filtering what I see. It was me getting out of the way so that the art, the message could come through in a completely pure way. And because I stepped out of the process, I've been able to watch these paintings find who they're meant for. And that is how you got your lighthouse, because I wasn't going to bring that painting in. I was packing everything up frantically because I'm not great at packing. I'm kind of all over the place, but frantically. And, our car was packed. I overpacked as it was, but that painting was like, take me. And so I grabbed it. And it's because this process, it's about art, yes, but what I feel that I'm being utilized for by whatever source speaks to me is to deliver messages, to deliver an energetic imprint, because you say that painting is full of sacred geometry, and that is not even the plan. I don't grid anything out. It's just the images appear almost in a magical way that can carry forth that information. So
Yeah, it's amazing. And would you tell them, I really am wanting to get to your past, but would you tell them the story about the mountain and the man?
Yes.
The last story that you told us, because the depth of how these paintings find the right person it's really amazing. So do people call you and ask you to paint something for them?
Yes. So I can do intuitive paintings. If someone is feeling like they want a message, they can have me tap in and I let that message come through. And that's always really interesting, because some people, I don't know anything about them. And then to see how these messages come through and actually have a pertinence and a meaning in their life, I'm in awe, and I get emotional about it because I feel very honored, because even though I hold the brush, it's coming through me, and it's an honor. So
it's like automatic writing, only for you. It's
yes.
Automatic art.
Yep, exactly. And so
yes, please. I would love that. Yes, please.
Okay. Beautiful. It's so much fun. And then I get to know people and can help interpret the messages as well. So I do that. And then there's also just, where I just start to feel, there's a certain sense I feel when I know something's trying to come through. So I'll sit down and then those images come through. And what's really awesome is to see how, a month or so down the road, I'm like, that's why. And then it makes sense. And so people can purchase those as they come through. Sometimes, as with you, for me, I was told by Spirit that if this becomes about money, it loses its power. And so I often will let Spirit guide what the price is, and sometimes the exchange, because what I got from Trish at this retreat was so valuable. There is no dollar amount that could have paid her for what she gave me that will forever change my life. So that exchange is not always about money. And so I offer up to provide these messages, and then who am I to stand in the way of that message reaching whoever it's meant to be given to? So
it's amazing. And so tell us the story about the man and the mountain, because
okay.
that was pretty amazing. And then we'll talk about the day you were born.
Okay. Awesome. So what I've noticed, probably about 2016 was when I started to notice these images would come through either from a meditation, dreams. I call them flash images, where it's almost like someone just holds a flashcard in front of my face and then it's gone. So I started to pull these things through. And when I was in Sedona on a retreat with a similar group that we went to Oregon with, we were being gonged. There's this man named Josh in Arizona who is just a wizard with gongs.
I think he does orgasms with gongs.
I have heard these things too.
Can you tell us who he is? Because I'm here in Arizona.
Yes, his name is Josh Cerny, and he bought some land in Payson, Arizona, that he has been working with the land and the elements to create a space where he can hold these sound bath and healing retreats. And then he also does tattoos, stick and poke tattoos, where he burns cactus and elements and actually does it the way the natives would have. So he does a lot of cool stuff, and it's intuitive, where he will artistically give you your own message on your skin. It's beautiful. We love Josh so much. He's not on social media much, but we are.
I can't find him anywhere. I was
Yep.
just looking him up. So you'll have to give me his stuff, because I can have him come down here and do a workshop
Yes.
at that studio that I'm working with.
Yes, perfect. And we are planning on probably in November doing a retreat up on his space. So I'll give you some information about
You
that.
guys can come and spend the night.
Beautiful. Yay. Awesome.
I'm not far from Payson, about an hour and a half.
Okay. Oh, perfect. So he is magical with the gongs. And when I meditate, sometimes with a guided meditation, it's hard for me to drop into that. I'm so visual, so you would think I could drop into the visual meditation, but it's not easy for me. But with the gongs, I have had, I think, 4 or 5 sessions with him, and it's like I astral travel. It is like my consciousness has left the body, and I've had so many incredible experiences through him. And this one in particular was at Gary and Lisa Price at their home in, I believe it's Buckeye, Arizona.
It's Buckeye. It's right by me, and I've talked to them 1,000 times, and we are going to put them on here. It's been it's been hit and miss, but we're all kind of gathering speed together.
Yes. Well, my mom went to high school with Lisa.
What?
Yes, they were high school classmates, and her name is Lesa, and I'm pretty sure that's where my mom was like, I'll just pull one of those E's out and there's my girl. So,
I had a message from them today, and I saw that hers Lee, and I went,
yeah,
if I misspelled one of you guys' names,
Nope. But it's just really interesting how we have that connection. So I love Lisa and Gary. They are near and dear to my heart. So we were all there laying on their floor, and Josh is just gonging us. And I start having this vision, and I'm shown a teepee and the sacred geometry of the teepee and how it relates to Christ and all this stuff that I'm just like, okay, don't know what to do with this, but thank you. And then they showed me the profile of a Native American, so I could see like this side of his face. And then it turned from the profile laying flat. So then the outline of the face became a mountain. And it was really a cool thing. So when I came home from that retreat, I did a series of paintings from that, where we become the land. And then just this March, I was sitting in a teepee in southern Utah, out by Pine Valley near St. George, sitting in a teepee, and I look out the little flap of the teepee, and the mountain range right in front of me was almost exactly like, it was uncanny. I just was in the moment like, how is this a thing? And it just matched up. And I've seen, there's been multiple trips that I've gone on where dreams, visions, and paintings have led me to a space. And it's kind of like my little ping from the universe that is like, you're where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it feels like I'm in a movie most of the time.
Yeah, well, I saw pictures of some of her paintings. They're undescribable. They're so unusual and they're so deep. I don't know if any of you guys, Lisa, turn your camera off a minute. I want to show them your own picture that you use for this. This is how talented she is. She's just, look at that. You know, she just sees things in such an incredible way. And okay, you can turn yourself back on again.
But that sounds like the gong guy if he turns people on too.
Yeah.
Well, the gal that told us about that was actually it's her retreat. You know, Debbie Straley, and she's been on here before, and you know how extraordinary she is. She's just like, you know, you can't even explain Debbie. And Debbie said about him, oh yeah, I had a full-on orgasm just lying in that living room floor with those gongs. And I said, well, I talk about orgasms all the time. I want to be the orgasm in Harry Met Sally. So I thought, you know, if I'm going to talk about this, I should experience these things, right?
You should. And I was there for that when that happened to Deb.
Oh, you were?
Yes, me and Travis and Emily were on the front side of the gong, and Debbie was on the back side of the gong. So I think the trick is to be on the back side of the gong.
Okay.
Backside,
Yeah,
Trish,
I
go
think
to the
that's
backside.
what we're gonna do. It's like we'll be people out of the way.
Well, there's a new multi-sensory science-based yoga studio here that's called a meditation studio in Carefree. And I've never seen any studio like this. I've taught yoga everywhere. But when I walked in, I was like, holy moly, she has all the multi-dimensional like films, like projectors with films.
Okay.
So you feel like you're in the middle of a forest, or you feel like you're in the middle of butterflies or whatever. And then she's got the appropriate music playing in there, 432 hertz or 528 or whatever. And we're collaborating to produce some really interesting things that have a scientific base, so that people stop just talking about yoga studios and studios like that as if they're not scientific. And she's an RN, and she just wants to show the scientific, and she's really into different kinds of music, and she wants to do workshops, not just you know, a yoga class. Like, I'm going to teach a few yoga classes, but yeah, you guys should do that when you guys come. You know, let me know and I'll set that up.
Okay.
I have a question. I know that we're getting ready to talk about your past, but before I get to the question, not my normal question, we were just talking with Scott LeRae about that, or certainly LeRae this morning, about not interpreting. So I love your mountain story where you just went with it.
Yeah.
And later it showed up. So, because a lot of times we're over interpreting. And I know that since I've been working with my clients with Reiki and coaching, it's a method I've come up with. I get images and I want to interpret it for them, because Trish and I learned about that in Casadega. It's almost like they're my images, so I need to, they're coming from you, but they're my images, so I need to interpret it. But what I'm finding now is I don't interpret it. I just give it to them raw and they interpret it. Even more powerful, just like your mountain and also your artwork.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about you had an awakening in 2016, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yes, let me give you the background that led up to that, because my spiritual awakening, it rattled me loose to where everything I thought I knew that I've been building my life on crumbled to the ground. And so I've had to rebuild on the scaffolding of truth, not tradition, truth. And that has been what I've been spending pretty much since 2017. I've been spending my time just taking in all the information I can to see what is truth. And truth isn't something that someone says, it's what resonates within your soul in that moment. and truth can change. So it's just made me let go of the death grip I had on the handlebars of my life and just allow. And so with even the images that come through, we live in such an instant gratification. Like, I want to be there now. I want to know the answers now. But if you let go and just let it flow in when it's meant to, not only do you have less stress, but you're more able to let the answers come to you instead of hunting them down. So, yes. So, my birthday is October 24th, a week before Halloween. It's coming up. I was born in 1979, so I'm about to turn 43, which is actually my favorite number. 17 is my lucky number, and 43 is my favorite number. So
Are you a Scorpio then?
I am heavily Scorpio. In my chart, it's almost all Scorpio. Like, most people are surprised I'm not a serial killer based on how much Scorpio I have. So a lot of Scorpio.
I have fallen in love with 3 Scorpio men.
Okay. Travis is also a Scorpio, my boyfriend. So
oh wow.
Yeah, we got a lot of Scorpio energy going on in this home. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And my mom's a Scorpio and my little sister's a Scorpio too. So I've just been surrounded by it, which is the death and rebirth energy, which has been following me throughout my life, which I'm grateful for, because that's how we grow and we expand. So I was born to the cutest parents in the world. My mom was a model, and my dad is a singer, and he would do cover bands for 1970s rock, that good old-fashioned Southern rock. And they gave me the most incredible childhood anyone could ask for. I'm the middle of 3 girls, so middle child of 3 girls, and just such a loving, comforting home that fostered creativity, that fostered belief in yourself. I've always had the voices in my head have been my parents, and it's always, you can do this. You're special, you're talented, you can do it. And I feel like that has fueled me to take steps and chances and opportunities, because I know that no matter what, I'm loved and supported. So that is beautiful, and pretty much the best life ever. I played sports. I was a really good softball, I'm going to say not in the past. Softball, I was into choir. I love music. I was on the drill team, loved to dance, and went to North San.
Oh yeah, we had a big dance contest the other night.
Yes,
big. We danced until about midnight.
Yes, much to the chagrin to whoever was below us in that hotel area. So, but yeah, so it was just living the life as a teen. I was very involved, very happy, and then fell in love and got pregnant at the age of 17, halfway through my junior year. Yep. And so that kind of derailed this. I had cousins that lived in Connecticut, and we were talking about having me go live with them and go to art schools, and it was future thinking. And then all of a sudden it was like, nope, you are here and this is where your life is going. And so got married in March, and then in the beginning of May of 1997, we went to go find out the sex of the baby, and actually they couldn't find a heartbeat. And so we had a stillborn, and that was my first, I guess, challenge, because my childhood was so great. That was the first of many that would begin to come. My ex-husband was 17 as well, so we were just babies, and we're better friends than we were spouses, but we stuck it out, and there were good times. We have 3 beautiful children, Monet, Tig, and Matisse. I named my kids after artists and poets, obviously, and they are just my everything. I love them so much. So I get married and start raising kids. I had 3 kids by age 25, and was the stay-at-home Mormon mother, and I loved every minute of it. But right before I turned 30, I decided to set some boundaries for myself. You teach people how to treat you, and I never taught my ex-husband to treat me any differently than he did. And I decided I was not going to allow that anymore. So I actually left the marriage 13 years ago, almost to the day, and have been a single mom with my children ever since. So thrust out into the world with no college degree, no work history. All I have is a big smile and willing to help people. And so I went to a local restaurant, Maggleby's, here in Springville. It's fabulous. If you ever want to go, I'll walk in there with you, get you the gold star treatment. And I managed and hostessed and served there for about a decade, and then had an opportunity come up where I was able to take a position with a video marketing company. So since 2014, I've been writing video scripts for explainer videos, motion graphic videos, branding, campaigns, all of that for companies like Disney, World Bank, Oracle, big wig companies, all the way down to your mom and pa companies who are just trying to get a Kickstarter. So that could be where some of my public speaking comes from, is because I've spent a lot of time on conference calls, helping people figure out what they need. So yes, so that kind of leads us up to here. But in 2017, my spiritual awakening came from the complete total solar eclipse of 2017. And I was.
What was that when we were together, Laura? When I came out to see it in the perfect
so we
spot.
saw it in South Carolina. Lisa, did you see it in Idaho?
No, I was here at my house in Springville.
Oh,
I didn't, and this was before I was even into astrology. I was very much in my LDS Mormon bubble. Went to the temple every week. I was very happy with what I knew. And so I knew there was an eclipse going on, but I didn't even understand it. And so all of a sudden, I have 5 days of what seems like the equivalent of a psychedelic trip that was sparked by the stars. And I start having dreams, and I start seeing visions, and I'm being shown sacred geometry and being pulled out of my ear to like different places. And I'm just like trying to keep a journal, just like, I don't know what this is, but this is something. And it was so random and weird, but it's like the balloon that you blow up and then it can never go back to its constricted space. It was enough to just get that crowbar in and leverage my consciousness to allow other things in. And so since that point, I have studied Reiki. I have studied shamanism. I've been just devouring everything about ancient cultures, ancient religions, and very into the ancient alien theories. Love it. I'm very much about the stars and the galactic connection, just based on these random experiences that I've had. And so it's been fun. Like I said, I feel like I'm in a movie. And so as I've opened up, and by opening up, you go in. And as I've gone in is when, through the art and through the poetry and through the music, it's taken on a different soul and a different vibration that I am just thrilled about.
Well, how did you meet Travis?
Oh, that's a story for a whole nother podcast that we'll have to bring him on for. But I was
these two both came to the retreat. And you know, sometimes people talk about oh, I don't want to touch my boyfriend or my husband or whatever because I don't want people to feel uncomfortable, or one of my friends said, oh, what is it? Public PDA or something. Oh,
PDA, yeah.
I can't stand it when people have PDA. I'm like, what? And you know, whenever you watch people that are in love, it makes you feel better. Whether or not you like PDA or not, you know, it just puts out a vibration that is so precious and so unusual because of all the separate kind of baloney we get. And the two of them in that room all week, it was just, I was so appreciative because it's so rare that you get to be around two super loving, kind, respectful people. And I'll tell this truth. So Travis just kept staring at Lesa. And Lesa at one moment said, I kind of feel funny when people are staring at me. You know, I just want them not to stare at me. And I had this little kind of come to Jesus moment with Lesa. And I said, Lesa, you know, you're beautiful. And when people look at you, it makes them feel good. And it's just like staring at a beautiful painting. When you see the Mona Lisa, you just stop, you know, you can barely breathe and you stare and you can't get enough of it. It's like you go into the painting. And Lesa has that kind of presence. She has that kind of face and that kind of presence. And so I noticed several people sort of locking eyes on Lesa, but especially Travis. And I said, you know, really appreciate it and love it, because you're giving people a gift, just like any piece of artwork just stays there and does their thing and lights their light, and then give it however anybody gets it. But these two are really unusual. And I had the, you know, accidental from God pairing with, I thought I was going to be paired with somebody else for this one thing that we did where we stared at each other. You know, you guys have all done that. And lo and behold, I ended up with Travis. And it was profound. It was profound. It was, there was just this connection that was so deep, you know, and I just saw so much stuff in him, but now I kind of got to know both of them pretty deeply, you know, at this retreat, which doesn't always, you know, present itself. So anyway, you guys are just a sweet, sweet, lovely, lovely couple.
Thank you. And I've been to retreats where I would sit and stare at Lesa and Gary and Scott and Lorraine and just think the same thing. The love that they have, it permeates the room, it fills up the room. And I'm like, I desire that for myself. And this is rare for me too, because I was married at 17, divorced at 30. And then I had one relationship right after that where I became the enabler of a heroin addict who committed suicide after I ended things. And it's been real rough. And so from 2012 until now, I have been completely focused on finding the love within. You know, I've been open to love and I've had friends and dates, but it's never been a relationship where we're building something together. And I was fine with that because I have my kids. Our house is so happy and full of life and direction that I just figured I'd sit back and wait. And if it was meant for me, it would find me. And it did. So it's been 13 years since my divorce. And this is really the first legitimate, non-toxic relationship that I've had. And so I am just basking in it. And it gives me that perspective to let people know that even in those spaces of decades where you feel so alone, if you just find the love within yourself, it almost sends out a beacon. Because last year I did a lot of work where I really dug into those spaces that I'd been avoiding. And it was really difficult. I chopped my hair. I quit my job. I was just like all of this moving through of energy. And then all of a sudden, here comes Travis into my life. And he had been doing a similar thing. And so I'm a believer in love, and I'm a believer in self-love.
Me too.
Yeah. And
You know,
I'm so grateful.
So oh, sorry, there's a message from God out there that says, you're not alone. I've just separated you. You're separated so that you can find your love with me. And
Yes.
so that really resonated with me, you know, and it's true. You get such a a deeper relationship with yourself and with God. And then as you're open, like you said, and you, you just wait. And I just love that. It sounds like that's what your time of
Yes.
separation was,
Yes.
to get closer to yourself and God.
Yep, and I'm loving every minute of it. It's so fabulous to have a partner who wants to go to these retreats and is interested in the same thing. We do booths together. He creates lamps and shelves and woodworking things, and he makes frames for my paintings, and that it's just this fabulous, fabulous blessing in my life.
Well, you both, I was looking you guys up because I needed to get your address, you know.
Mhm.
And Debbie has been so busy since she's been back. We finally did talk at about 9 o'clock last night, but I decided to look you guys up on Facebook. And I mean, you guys, lo and behold, both of their Facebook pages have a picture of the two of them. It's like, oh, you know, it's so romantic. And right now, I think that on the whole planet, people just need to know that love is available and that hope is real, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it needs to start with self first, like Lesa's saying. You have to really, truly, I mean, I've heard it say, said, go through the dark night of the soul. You have to know yourself and embrace your good and your bad.
Yes.
And then release it. That's why we do the podcast. Your fishy past is what you've mastered. It's what you've mastered in life.
Yes.
And you can't feel bad about it. It just is what it is. You wouldn't be where you are today if it weren't for that. And hopefully it's in a better space.
Yes.
Sometimes people regress, for sure. I've regressed, but it's like Trish always says, we're like amoeba, or even amoeba are always trying to get better. And that's what life is about, and sharing love and being love.
Yes. And tragedy plus time equals humor.
Mess plus age equals message, right? I'm sorry. That's my
Tragedy
thing.
and time equals humor. Mess plus age
Well,
equals message.
But the reason I got excited about that, Lesa, is that's what I'm doing. My program, it's called A Muse's Call. I want to collapse the time. So the trailing edge of tragedy is the leading edge of comedy. And if I can collapse the time between the two for people, because suffering is part of life, but the faster you can get through it, the more you can enjoy. And it's about trying to find that joy in whatever your circumstances.
Well, I think it's also like a roller coaster. So if you'd never been on a roller coaster in your whole life and somebody plunked you on a roller coaster, on the way down, you would have almost a heart attack, right? You would be like, what the heck am I doing? And you didn't know that it was going to be fun because nobody told you that. It just felt horrible. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we're going through these difficult times, we as yet have not had the capacity to say, this is just the depth of the roller coaster. I'm good. I'm good. And so we get stuck. There's a lot of marketing that's created to keep you stuck there because when you're in limbic, you're an easy prey to get money from. You're not thinking straight. You're like, just give me anything that's going to make me feel better. And so limbic brains are just great for marketing companies. And I think that if we,
right, it's like people will pay more to move away from pain than to move toward pleasure. So that is a marketing strategy.
That's a marketing strategy. And so the thing is that if we can get more and more messages out to embrace the throat, the deep dive, because it reminds me of taking you're getting ready for an arrow to go, and you just pull back the tension, and the further back the tension, the further the arrow is going to go toward the goal, toward the middle of the You guys are laughing.
I'm sorry, there was a really loud noise. I was like, good Lord, that's really loud. But arrows have popped up quite a bit today. Is that weird? That's the fun in life, right?
What
I'm a target, so come on, Arrow.
I think that when people say, oh, this is really a big pain, right? That's like you're getting way pulled back. That message should be, wow, what is going to happen after this? Instead of, I'm going to stay in this conundrum the rest of my life, you almost embrace it and you go, this is super big pain. I am headed for something incredible. And I think it'll take the marketing out of the marketing guys, that when people go, oh, I'm in limbic, I got to sit still for a minute. I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm just going to love myself, and I'm going to wait a minute. Because if you can recognize you're in limbic, which we do all the time, that's what we work on with Jack and with the Young Living Oils. If you get people to recognize they're in limbic and they sit still and they smell valor for a minute, it breaks apart that trigger, just breaks it apart. And so they can go on their mission instead of getting caught in the abyss.
I called that the Babylonian hamster wheel, where you get up and go to work, spend your time, eat, go to sleep, just to pay the bills. And you never go anywhere, but you're so tired because you're just doing this. And so last year was when I hopped out of that. And that was when I really saw the tribes coming together, where I'm connecting with people who have also jumped off those hamster wheels. And we are creating amazing pathways to a new future that doesn't have to fit into this old system.
So Lesa, say that again. I'm writing it down. Babylonian what?
The Babylonian hamster wheel.
That's really, really good. We have talked about the Babylonian, Deborah and we've been in so many Bible studies, and we believe that, that was what caused the initial separation. And COVID just further separated people. And now people in COVID, and if you think about Florida, the number of people in Florida that were terrified over COVID and older and traditional. You've got this situation where these people now that have been so devastated in Florida, they're coming off of such a mess of separation. And it is Babylonian. It is.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a separation from self. And so as you hop out of those systems, you then start to connect with self. And that is where you find God. The kingdom of God is within. And for me, it's just been the best thing to, whenever anyone tells me how to do something, or this is the only way, I go the other way. And that's where I find my truth.
Amen. That's a really good, we call that row advice. When the whole salmon stream is going one way, you better go the other, because it's not good. Institutionalized food isn't good either.
Yes, I agree.
Lesa, I'm going to ask my traditional question. It sounds like you're ready for it.
Okay.
Laura, you're somehow faded away.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I always ask, I know you've had this psychedelic awakening experience, but have you seen a ghost? Have you seen a UFO? Have you seen a fairy? Anything like that?
Well, this could also be a whole nother podcast. I have been obsessed with ghost hunting shows since probably early 2000. I've watched them all, love them all. And I have seen ghosts in my previous life, like teenage years. And I have experienced, how do I put this? It's oh my gosh, people I know are going to watch this. We'll just put it out there. Pretty sure I have experienced some abductions and or connections with people that are not of this earth. Experiences that I can't explain. So very, very cool stories, Is there a way to back those up scientifically? I don't know, but they're just a part of my experiences. So I do believe in spirits, as in ghosts that have passed on from the human form. I also believe in entities that live in other dimensions that kind of peek in. It's almost like when you turn the channel on old TVs, you'd catch a little blip of a channel as you're going to a different one. And they just kind of pop in and out. And then I believe in extraterrestrials, and I'm interested in Bigfoot.
What?
Bigfoot. So Bigfoot, a lot of times orbs are seen, which would explain why he's not around all the time, right? Like
Yes.
there are some really cool explanations for some of this stuff. And you know, it's just like folklore. There's almost always something behind it. There's some truth, even if it's
Yes.
small or if
Yes.
it's big. And that's really cool. I have a question. Do you know your blood type? Are you
I believe it's AB positive,
oh,
but
positive?
I haven't had it checked since high school, so I can't really say for sure.
Because there's a big theory that people that have negative blood, that they are more often abducted, and green eyes as well. So
I have green eyes.
there you go. So
I do have green eyes. Yes, and I could go into those stories, but it would take a while. But they're unexplainable, and it fascinates me. I just love it. I'm all about the CE5.
oh yeah, I have
Yeah.
that on my phone
Did you
too.
happen to see, owls or anything regularly?
Owls show up on my canvases quite regularly. What I've connected with is mantis. Mantis, praying mantis people. And I tend to see a lot of blue winged things, bluebirds, blue dragonflies, a lot of blue things with wings.
You know, I have to put a plug in here for this weekend. Ukwala, who is the shaman from the bottom of the Grand Canyon from the Havasupai tribe, is going to spend the weekend with me at my house. So he's going to be blessing the inside of here, and he is a part of a film that's going to be premiered on Sunday, and it's called The Weight of a Feather. And it's about ancestral information. I mean, Ukwala is speaking in it a lot, but Melanie Walton, who is married to the oldest son of Sam Walton, Rob Walton, Melanie and Rob gave the money to make this film, and Melanie kind of produced it. And she's in India right now studying with Sadhguru on a big thing. And but she wanted Ukwala and I to go and represent her. And this is a story, and I'll bet it catches on in the theaters. It's going to be shown in a Harkins theater here, but then they're going to run it for like a couple of months at one of the theaters, and on big screen. And it's all about the winged ones and what they're telling us right now. And that's why it's called The Weight of a Feather, because their weight of their information that they're giving to us is like, it's time. It's time. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. How can we watch that, Trish?
You have to know somebody.
I do. Her name's Trish Sanders.
No, I'll send you to the preliminary piece that Melanie sent me the other night. She filmed a lot of it during our retreat, which
Wow.
I filmed some of it, and she took some of my stuff from Ukwala. But Ukwala is like all of us. He's just in that space where he's letting God speak through him. Yeah. And so many times you just put a camera up and ask him a question, and he's on, and he's just saying all exactly the right thing. And
he's all about the feathers.
Yeah. Well, and Melanie and Rob have created the biggest repository for religious ceremony for ceremonial feathers that's ever been done, because a lot of chiefs and shamans from a lot of countries, they have a hard time getting to feathers. And Liberty Wildlife here, which Melanie and Rob support financially, is one of the biggest wildlife centers to rescue owls and rescue eagles. Now, they can't keep the eagle feathers. They have to, there's some government, US government thing that holds on to the eagle feathers. And Qual is allowed to be in that. I mean, you have to prove that you're a shaman and all. But the repository, I think Melanie said, has given feathers to over 5,000 tribes worldwide. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, Lesa, because
Isn't that cool?
it's a timely message right now. The world needs leadership and needs unobstructed leadership, so that whoever feels called to be a leader talks from this higher place and not from preparation of ego, and just lets God speak through us. And I think it's happening. It's really, really an exciting time, I think, for the ship to turn. And,
Yes, definitely.
and some people are falling right off the ship. I mean, it's not, but the ship is turning, and it's turning fast.
So Lesa, we're coming up on the end here of the most wonderful hour I've spent in a long time. Thank you so much for the privilege of spending time with you. So how can people get a hold of you, look at your paintings? You can talk about your websites, your Facebook page, however, just tell us how we can find your work.
I've been saying for years that I'm going to create a website. And so now is the time. We're going to put a winged being on there and make it the time. So I'm going to put it out there that a website is in the works. And so mainly on my Instagram, it's lesa.belle.art, LESA_BELLE_ART. And then also on Facebook, you can find me Lesa Belle Thomas. And right now, that's how to get a hold of me. One of my pieces was just accepted into the Springville Art Museum's spiritual show. I just found that out today. I'm super excited. So that will be hanging there. If anyone's in the Utah County area, they can go check that out starting October 12th. But yeah, mainly I'm just here to provide. So if anyone feels called, shoot me a message on Instagram, and we can do a painting that comes through for you. And then just keep an eye out, because I will post my paintings on there. I'll do flash sales and just to keep the energy moving through. And I'm just excited to see what comes through, and then see who the person is that message is for.
And to accept abundance in all ways, even financial.
Yes, I receive.
Well, money is an exchange of energy. So your art is an exchange of energy, right?
Yes.
You put the energy into it, and then the money is the exchange back,
Right.
or the gratefulness, or whatever. However, you'll get back from what you give out. So that's really wonderful.
Tenfold. So
Lesa, I just want to finish. Well, I know Trish probably has something else to say, but before she does, I wanted to say what we do as well with our guests at the end is, if there was one piece of advice that's either meant the most to you, or you feel that could help our audience the most, if you could share that with our audience, we'd be grateful.
Yes. Well, you were talking about self-love, and I like to dive into the etymology of words, what the meaning is behind them. And so when it comes to self-love, when you look at the Virgin Mary, it doesn't have anything to do with sexual purity. The root word of virgin is sovereign. It was a woman who was not married. She was the owner of herself. So sovereign, and then Mary means love. So that is self-love. And so for me, I've taken that as the lesson that in order to be a vessel that houses the light of Christ, you must first have that self-love to make way for the universal love to pour through.
Wow, I'm glad I asked the question.
Wow,
we were talking being sovereign this morning with Lorraine, and
It was just like the arrows or the, yeah,
I
sovereign.
love it. It's such a powerful word.
And
Thank
we-
you, Lisa.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me be here.
You guys, I'm gonna take us off of Facebook and I'm gonna let us finish up couple of personal things here, okay? So just 1 minute. Thank you, Facebook friends. Mwah, mwah. And I'm gonna stop the recording.